pivotal in creating a buzz around Morris and his wonder material. We went to see Peter McCann, the presenter that conducted the test, to find out how they did it.
That's the old music that set the pulse racing as you waited to go live.
I was presenting the Tomorrow's World programme, which was the BBC's flagship science programme throughout the 80s, really. I did all sorts of things that I would never have done. I trained to become a North Sea diver and went down on oil rigs for one programme. I did some astronaut training and did the weightless flight. It was just a wonderful whirlwind of a decade.
An unconventional way of cooking eggs? Well, this is no ordinary egg. And in a moment, I'll be showing you the link between this and aircraft safety and what ladies' hairdressing has to do with both.
Thank you, Peter. I'll have it hard-boiled. Good evening and welcome live to our Tomorrow's World studio.
Tomorrow's World was always very good at finding unusual ways of demonstrating things. I'm not sure who originally came up with the idea of trying to put a blowtorch on a raw egg. It's already going black there. Amazing.
I'm going to leave this torch here, blowing on this egg for a couple of minutes before we crack it open. And it ought to survive the inferno because it's coated with a remarkable new plastic.
As far as actually applying the material to the egg, that was very definitely done by Morris, because Morris was quite secretive, extremely secretive, shall we say, about the process that he'd created. I even heard stories that he would absolutely painstakingly sweep up any grams and grains that were left behind afterwards. On the actual day of the performance, we would go through the script and we would see how it turned out, particularly if we were a little bit dubious, as I was on this particular occasion, as to whether it was going to work. It was with some trepidation that I went over there and gingerly fingered it to start with to see if I was going to get scalded and blistered as I picked this thing up. But to my amazement, it really was pretty cool. It was still warm, but it was not red hot like it had been a few seconds before. So on the actual take, or the live performance, I was able to go to it with fair confidence that I could just pick it up straight away. But that wasn't the case on the rehearsal, I can tell you. When people brought in equipment or products to be tested on Tomorrow's World, they were often allowed around the studio. In fact, they were very helpful around the studio. But actually on the live show, Morris was duly taken off to the green room, which I think was probably the best place for him. I seem to remember that they turned that blowtorch up that little bit more, so it was glowing a little more red than it was during rehearsals.
So, how is it doing? Well, it hasn't broken up at all, and you can see on the front here it's glowing red hot. But just watch this. If I turn the flame off, and remember that it was producing 1200 degrees Celsius, and I take that charred bit and I put it flat in the palm of my hand.
Oh, yes, I
it
forgot I put it
warm.
Actually black face down in my hand. The belief that the audience at that moment, when I cracked that egg, were going to say, oh no, this is just not going to work. I wasn't entirely sure as to whether the increased temperature would have cooked it and I'd be left with egg on my face. But in this case, it wasn't.
What's more, the egg hasn't even begun to start cooking.
It was raw inside. Amazing. We're always looking for that magic moment, and this was certainly one of them. It was just jaw-dropping. Yeah. Well, that brings back a lot of memories. It just reinforces what an extraordinary product this was. If Morris was living up to his reputation, I assume he was into the studio like a hawk to sweep up all the bits and pieces and take them away with him so that his secret was kept intact. Morris was a very secretive sort of person. I said to him, what is in this product? And he said, I've never told anybody yet, and I'm not likely to tell you. During the course of my entire decade with Tomorrow's World, there were few products that had as much potential as this particular one had. MOD, NASA, all sorts of people said, hey, this is unusual, this is unique. And yet he could not let go. He always thought there was a better deal to be had What was just sad was that he kept his secret with him until the end. That doesn't take away, I think, from his original idea and the amazing effect that it could have had on the world had he allowed it to go ahead.